Thank you for joining us on Worldwide Slot Car Chat, number 87. I'm your host, Greg Gow. We got a good gang going here. We got Lev, Gaza, Don, Petrucci, Jim, John, Dennis, Garth, Mike, Henry, Barry, and Dewann, and other people. And Barry is new to the chat, so Barry, I'm going to go ahead and put you on the spot right now. Tell us whatever you would like to tell us about Barry's slot car related history. After you unmute, there you go.
So,
okay,
my family have been slot racing since the mid-1960s. My father was in the Southampton Model Car Club. I've got some of his trophies here. I don't know if you can see those okay. Yeah. We were located very close to where the original Sky Electrics factory was. It was in a city called Portsmouth, and there were a lot of people in that slot car club who worked electrics. So we had an abundance of electrics equipment in the house when I was a youngster, mostly the little Formula Juniors. So also MRRC were about 30 miles in the other direction. So there's quite some history, and I've also raced on routed tracks before as well, but my preference is just playing around with the Sky Electrics. And more recently, I've got my granddaughter. She's only 2 3/4, but she loves coming and playing with what she calls the crazy cars. And I'm a kind of a bit of a dinosaur as well. I really like the Sport World system, which was not very popular, as you know, but the pacer function on that's very good. I've been racing with that this evening. So, Greg, I think that's probably about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully you can come back in the future. And next week, well, actually, we're probably going to skip 2 weeks, but we do have an earlier show each week. So if that's a better time slot for you, we'll probably see you then. This week, as I mentioned last week, we're going to do track sharing, just sharing pictures of tracks that you have of your own, that you had in the past, that you're working on, that you race on, that you have seen before, whatever the case may be. If you've got some pictures you want to share, we're just going to do that for the next 2 hours, just sharing and talking about tracks. Henry, you said you were going to leave soon, or you don't have time for the whole chat. Do you got any pictures of your tracks that you'd be able to do a screen share and talk about? I'll give you some time to work on that without putting you on the spot. So if you want to share some
pictures, I don't have at the moment, but
you want to just walk around? Okay, we can do that.
I don't know if you see this, but
yep, we see what you're seeing.
This is the Carrera digital analog track, about 35 meters. And
how large is the table, Henry?
7 by 4
meters.
Yeah. If you can see, I have my own man cave.
Yeah.
Man roof.
Man roof. Yeah.
Man roof. Yes. And this is the second one.
Ah, the Dakar.
This is the analog and digital with the Carrera lane changes, but I use them only for oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a little bit naughty because here I'm working on a small track. It's Ninko, but it's going to be a digital Ninko for only oxygen. But I have ordered some pieces for lane changing. But this is the layout it's going to be on the wall. So, sorry, I have 3 tracks. It's a little bit, overdone.
No such thing.
No.
That is not a word in our vocabulary.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, those are great.
I have the space and the time.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for
That's
sharing. Does
correct.
anybody have any questions for Henry on those tracks?
No, but I think I've just discovered a new condition called track envy.
Track envy. I think we've all had that at least once in our lives. All right. Thanks, Henry. Does anybody else want to raise their virtual or real hand so I can call on you to share your track pictures? Go ahead, Dennis.
Okay, guys, I missed last week, so I didn't even know about this, but I guess a lot of you have seen some of my photos of my current wood track. However, this one was my first attempt when I got back into slot racing. This was a 2-lane Carrera track that I built on a 12x6 frame that hoisted up into the roof of my garage so I could park my car underneath it. It was nice. I didn't leave enough room around the edge to have proper area, runoff area. So particularly
you're not sharing
down,
it. Just in case you thought you were sharing, you're not actually sharing it yet.
Oh dear.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You can see how quickly I lose it, right? How's that?
There we go.
All right. So this was the first one that I built when I came back into slot racing. This is around 2004 and 5, around about there. I didn't leave enough space around the edges. The main straight was right up against the edge of the board, so you would, on the outside lane, you would hammer the car against that if you pushed it too hard. Initially, I ran with magnets, and the track was really fast with magnet cars. But once I got into non-magnet, then it started to feel bad. And I took it with me to Colorado when we moved from California, and then I sold it when we came back. But I made a lot of the scenery that was on here. Just made up out of foam board, and I found images online of brick walls and things like that. And I used all those Carrera for fun little buildings and things like that. So it had quite a lot of detail on it, more than my current track has. So these are just some photos of all of that. Those were the pits. The pits actually had little workbenches and things on the inside as well. And that's about it for that one. I'll let somebody else share again, and then I'll come back in with a couple of other tracks later on if you like.
Sure. Go ahead and quit your share. Anybody who wants to go next, just raise your virtual hand or your real hand, and I'll call on you. While Dennis brings up his other pictures. And we're going to fill this 2 hours with track pictures, whether it's your guys' pictures or not, because I know I can just hit oldslotracer.com and show just all the pictures forever. But Luff has his virtual hand up, and then we'll get to Mr. Iceman. Go ahead, Luff. What do you want to share tonight?
Hang on here.
Oh, you got your folder.
Is that up now?
No, you shared your folder. You gotta open the picture and share the picture. I stopped your share, so go ahead and open the picture. And then once you have the picture open in your picture viewer.
Is that up?
There we go. All right. What do we got here?
Okay, this is when we moved to Vancouver Island. I figured I'm going to start up a new club. So I built a track that was going to be fairly easy to drive and fairly quick. So this is it. But once the virus hit, I haven't had much luck getting a group together.
Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet. So yeah, look,
That's nice.
it is. It does look pretty quick.
Yeah.
I don't
Very
usually
nice
have a
track.
straightaway, but this one's got a straightaway.
An actual straightaway.
Yeah.
How long is that one, Luff?
91 feet.
Wow.
That's called easy to drive, huh? Okay.
Well,
Compared to its usual tracks.
the only real tricky bit is through the village here, the
Yeah.
S's. Lots of elevation. These are all my buildings left over from the target tracks.
Yeah. Wow.
Was this
Wonderful
a-
track.
They always look so good.
well, now, were you inspired by any specific real track to do this, Luff, or was this just like something you drew up?
This one is just whatever fit the room.
Yeah, he's like Banksy or something. He just goes into a space and finds the perfect track for it and just whips it out.
And you don't want to look at the support because there isn't much.
It does the job though.
It's about a 10-degree bank in this corner.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like you have an off-camber turn there somewhere as well, eh?
Oh, you gotta have that.
Awesome, awesome.
And you said easy to drive.
Relatively, everything is relative.
And then the driver stations are over here. And I built it pretty low so everybody can sit down while you're driving. These are the driver stations.
Nice.
I can't drive sitting.
What's that?
It's hard to drive sitting, yeah.
Yeah.
Agree.
Pit area with all the superheroes.
XXL size.
Some of them have a bit of an inflated opinion of themselves. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
quite a bit
well, Luff-
overboard there, Love.
Well, Luff, here's the good news. When the flood happened in BC, they were
Yeah.
safe.
They were
Yeah, just grab one of them, you'll never sink.
We know you're running. We know you're running silicone tires now.
Well, I don't know that it could. There's not enough silicon left over to run tires.
Yeah, but it's okay if you're sponsored by Dow Corning.
Yeah. This gives you an idea of the elevation, I guess.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that curve. That's off camera. That's beautiful.
Mm.
It looks like a rogue.
It's almost flat out, not quite.
Nice.
And
And
this,
if I could ask, what was the time frame in developing this, putting it together?
In a couple of days.
and then yeah, that's the driver station. Each lane has a power supply.
Wow.
We had about 8 tracks in Vancouver, and we all standardized with this plug-in, a 3-prong plug. But you can use banana plugs. This is for the bracket
Stop and
racing.
go.
Yeah, this resets the bracket racing, and you can dial in your time. And then this is the hill climb.
I'm tempted to say this is what your tracks normally look like.
What's that?
I'm tempted to say this is what your normal track difficulty is.
Yeah. Is that the old hill climb circuit that you've
Ah,
always
so-
had, or is it a new one?
This is the new one, isn't it?
Yeah,
You've done. Is this your third or fourth? I know you've done more than 2.
probably number 5, I think.
I remember there was one that we drove, one of the proxies, Keith, what was his name? Keith Hines. He drove some of our cars on one of those, and my car had so much brakes, I couldn't drive it up there.
Yeah. Well, some of the cars, the guide flag's too long to get around some of the corners.
Now, Luff, the stone wall there looked like it was styrofoam, but how did you get that stone look on the styrofoam?
This,
No,
The
below
foreground.
that.
This?
Around the outside. Yeah.
it's foam, 1-inch foam board that I just cut to make retaining walls.
So it actually looks like that looks just like a stone wall. That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's all I did was bandsaw it into that shape. I didn't paint it or anything.
Oh,
These
wow.
are plaster rock molds.
Mhm.
Right.
Wonderful job.
Beautiful. And did you paint the backdrop yourself as well?
What's that?
The backdrop with the mural that sort of runs up again. Did you paint that as well?
Yeah, that thing.
Yeah.
Well, I had a train, HO train set up here for a while. And then I got tired of that, so I ripped out the train and built a hill climber.
Nice.
Get rid of the trains. Next.
No, it's in the box. It'll come out again.
Yep.
But this, hang on a sec here. That's where the hill climb is, and that's my den. These are all my tires.
Well organized, man.
Right.
Anyway, that's that. Oop, and now I can't get out of this.
Oh, I got you. All right, good job. All right, awesome. We're never disappointed when Luff shares some pictures. That's for sure.
I got a few more.
I do, yeah. if we need to fill time, we know who to go back to. Iceman is next. What do you want to share with us today, John? Be sure to unmute. You're still muted.
Yeah,
There you go.
pardon me.
No worries.
I just had something to say. You know, when I was a kid, I used to see the trains. You know, I was 5 and 6 years old, so I just loved when I built my tracks. I just loved to have the scenery and the people, just like you, Dennis, and Luff, you as well. It just made it look so much more realistic, for me at least. You know, and Luff, that's a great looking track, that one that you showed us. So, you know, that's all I had to say. Don't have anything to share today, but yeah, just enjoyed
You're always welcome to come for a visit.
Yeah, well, my parents are buried on Vancouver Island, so yeah, I might need to come up and visit them and check out your track as well.
Sure.
There you go. You got two good reasons.
Yeah, for sure. But beautiful track. And I remember seeing those buildings at Targhee, Florida that people sent in. That was sure. I remember when you were asking people to do that. That, you know, I was in Seattle area, but that was pretty fun to see.
I just keep moving the buildings from track to track.
Yeah, well, they were beautiful. People did such beautiful work.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's all I had to say.
All right. Thanks, John.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Gazza, you're next.
Oh, okay. All right. We'll give it a go here. That's a one of my original ones, plastic, scale electric. It was just a 2-lane one that I built out in the garage there, which served its purposes for quite a few years.
Yeah.
And then upgraded, got rid of that, and first router track, which had heaps of everything on it, all the bits and pieces and whatnot, which again served its purpose for quite a few years. And then went on to the latest one, which is the pictures and all that of it being routed and then painted and infill, and the final product of it there with the old people's screen, so you can actually see what the timing says, and instead of all these ones peering across the track trying to find out what it says.
How thick is the wood that you use?
It's only 8 millimeter MDF, and it's routed down 6 mil for the guides.
You got some nice elevation there.
Yeah, there's a bit of variation in it across this section here. Just a little bit of a hump here, and then it cuts down, and it's slightly banked, running downhill with a little kink off here and back around over the bridge and back on there. It's a rough interpretation of one of the tracks that no longer exists in the Sydney Metro, which was Oran Park, which they ran everything from the early 70s and all that out here. Then they decided they needed another housing development, so it got trashed like all the others. So got used to get a few bods in there. Whoops, shit.
Oh, Gary, does that track run in both directions or just one?
Yeah, I have run it in both directions, but normally we just run it clockwise. So it's just sort of standardized, but I've been running the computer program on it for years, and it's quite all right. This is the start of the rally track that I built. Bluff knows all about it. It's actually one of the first ones on his list back all those years ago when he was calling out for people to come in there. So there's this one here, which was the first part. And then this bottom section here was added, made up this little section so it could join up. There's the two joiners and another little piece there. So I could join up another section that I built, which is the existing one rolled up against the wall, the road track at the back. So the two joined together made up this nice little monstrosity. And as you can imagine, it got quite roomy and tight in there during the race nights. There's the other section added to it so that it made the other side run in reverse order than what this was. And so I decided outside from the other room in the garage, there's this little area that I had aside there. So I started to build another extension which put on. So I split the two tracks, this one on the left and this one on the right, added that in the middle and filled it up with scenery and got it into 35 meters. And that's the overhead that I made up using different photos of the rough design of the track. That's the road circuit in the back there behind the window. Another big blind person screen there so everyone can watch it. Thank God TVs don't last as long as they used to. And you only pick them up for $100 down the cash converters, which is good. Action shots, crash shots, yep. And I did make it into a magazine, which is good. So it's kept for posterity. And this is, as I was showing the guys last week, this is the outside one. I got carried away one weekend and thought, why not? So I took the last section off here and put it out in the fern house on a trestle and made up some prefab sections and ran it out from inside there all the way across into here. And if you couldn't quite see it properly, so I put a webcam out on the other side there, and so you could watch it on the on your monitor there while I went across there, so you could see where you're driving. And they're all the prefab bits and pieces I made up. And there's the rally track as it finished prior to, because I'm moving very soon now. And this is another one that I've made up. It's a mirror image of itself. It's just on 12 meters, believe it or not.
Kind of like a Race of Champions?
Yep. You're racing opposite way. So you don't know how far you are until you go across the start-finish line, like a velodrome. So yeah, Race of Champions type thing, except you're racing, each side's racing in reverse order, if you get what I mean. And it's a mirror image of itself as it folds around. Local tracks, one of the guys that we used to race on, it's his early track from there. This is another track. This one's a 4-lane routed track. He made an exact copy of the 4-lane Scalextric track that was racing on. So it's a nice little circuit there. They're just very popular with everyone. This is another 4-lane track race on. Another house one. Gets a bit cool there. This is Mel's track, which is another rally come road track. It's a Bathurst track with a rally insert in the middle of it. Run by just the flippers. You just change them over and just runs around. So it's about 48 meters, I think it is, or somewhere around there, the total length. Another one, this is Paul's track. It's got a nice little flowing layout. There's an old one. This is Vince's old one. Sort of got a lot of ups and downs and twists and turns. There's no actual straight on it. The straight's about 1.5 meters just here. The main straight is actually a long curve which goes around uphill and a hard right-hander, which is quite challenging when it was on there.
Yeah, that's the kind of curve straightaway that some cars can go flat out and some cars can't go flat out. So.
Yeah. And that's it for me.
Nice.
Short this week.
It was
Very
fun to
cool.
see your progress for your road course from 2-lane Scalextric to then the first routed one that was very regular turns like a sectional track, and then again to the current one that's more natural, like
it's learning as you go, so that you can actually and the undulations and everything else, up, down, and corners and banking, and you can twist it around, and so it's you learn a hell of a lot once you start doing it.
Yep. Good to see, and lots of variety there to share. I've got a similar variety to share, but Dewann has some things to share. Share away, Dewann.
Okay. Well, I don't have much. I just set up a little small track at my home down in LA. I guess it's sharing now, isn't it?
Yep.
Okay, so it's just a standard Americana set from Revell, the 4-lane set they had in the 60s. And I just set it up down there. And I'm actually going to set up a few other little smaller or different tracks to kind of play around with. I did over the weekend. Well, let me see, where's my advanced button? Oh, there it is. So, yeah, it doesn't show much, but anyway, you just kind of see. I just put something out there for Thanksgiving, and I just went back and took some pictures of it. That's all. That's what we were running with Thanksgiving.
That's an advanced Americana track because it's got a lot more aprons on it than the normal.
Yeah, I tend to put aprons. I ran out of aprons while I was in LA, so I kind of have to pick some areas that I didn't want to have aprons in. But I usually put aprons around the entire perimeter of whatever I do. So, and you probably know that I'm an apron hog.
Never mind the aprons. That's the cleanest Revell track I have ever seen.
This one hasn't been cleaned. I didn't actually go through the real clean process on this one.
Really?
Yeah, I could show you the ones that I delivered. I can do that because I also over the weekend I delivered the track that I set up for my. It was an associate of mine that was doing some software development work for me. And I told him about a year or so ago that I got back into slot cars, and he just babbled off, well, I'm a speed racer fan from childhood or whatever, so I'm going to go online and try to find me a speed racer and race you. And when he said that, I just had in the back of my mind to create that thing, and I think you saw my project. I think I did post it on Facebook, but I'm trying to see if I have it here. I have to unshare. That I did clean up his track. I'm going to stop share there. And then I can go to this one. But when I cleaned up his, it turned out really nice, I think. Here we go. And start to share again. That's I don't know if you can use it. Did it start sharing? Yeah, I think it did.
Yep, track in a box.
Whoa.
So that cleaned up. It's got some small bars in it, but for the most part, it's better than you would typically get out of the factory.
Jeez, that's really nice.
Yeah, so that's and then where'd it go? Why did it stop? Okay. Somehow it stopped sharing. Well, is it still there? Okay. Is it? Yeah, it's still sharing. Okay. So this was my my Racer X and Speed Racer cars as of about a week ago, and then I was telling everyone then that I was looking for figurines. So that's them without the drivers in them, and then I was able to. Why is it? Oh boy, this thing just. You know what, I think because I'm doing this from Facebook.
Yeah, probably not the best way.
Yeah, so that's without the figurines. Oh, I'm going backwards. Wrong way. And then that's how I did the MR chassis. Well, I guess it's in different sections. Oh, that's why it's doing it. Oh my, okay. I have to go back. So I hate doing this way. That out. back to these. I think this is, oh, still not the ones. Nope, still didn't do the wrong section. Oh, sorry. Wasting time, wasting time.
Well, we'll be doing show and tell only on when we return in a couple of weeks. So you'll want to have a bunch of pictures of your Speed Racer cars ready to go for that,
Okay,
for
well,
sure.
that's fine. Then. That's fine. We're good.
All right, I'm gonna stop your share for now.
Right.
And we can come back to you if we actually have spare time. I know Don said he was gonna share some pictures. Do you want to share those now, Don?
Sure, we can do that.
All right, let's do that.
And this is basically just a walk around my track.
Sure.
Now there's 2 separate tracks on here.
On the same table?
When you see this, the track I'm pointing at on the left here is a big oval. And that's my analog Art Pro track.
Okay.
This is some of the paper stuff from Carrera Fun. And this is the rest of the big oval I was telling you about. Of course, most of the cars I have are analog, so they're all lined up here. From the other angle, looking down at it. Now, this track, that's Carrera Digital. Some more of the Epson scenics that you can get, and Carrera Fun, and of course all the ladies lined up at the bathroom. Project I'm working on, the grandstand.
Looks good.
This is the only building I have bought, which is a Carrera pit stop, and this one over here I just made out of fiberboard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty simple.
And then this is what happens to little girls when they play in junkyards. And that's it.
Hey, good stuff. And it looked like the Carrera layout was a fairly sizable but figure 8. So like it went and it crossed over at one end and then looped back. So it was basically a figure 8.
Yeah, we'll call it a modified that.
Yeah, a bent in half figure 8, basically.
And then how I could get the most use out of what table I had. So
yeah, that's an efficient way to use table space, and you even out the lane lengths, which I am a big fan of. Awesome, good stuff, Don. Thank you for sharing. And looks like Dennis is ready to share a different track. You ready to go, Dennis?
Yeah, I got a whole bunch here. Let's
go for it.
You will remember, maybe some of you will remember this one that I did. I did this one around about the beginning of the lockdown of the COVID lockdown, and it's 6 feet by 6 by 4, and it actually splits right down the middle, and it's just like a parking lot, single lane. Well, it's single lane if you run it on DC. So you can hook up a controller here where it says A in the bottom left-hand turn, the bottom left-hand corner. You could hook up a controller there, and then I put on a DC power supply, and you can run one car around it and it basically gives you twice around the table, one time on the outside and then this side, the inside, and then the inside of this side and the outside of the left-hand side to give you one lap. But I can also run with 2 controllers and an AC power supply and cars with diodes in them. And then you can run 2 cars next to each other because one works on one half of the AC wave and the other one works on the other half of the AC wave. It's that system that they call AC2 car.
Yep.
That was popular in the Midwest at one point, and actually it works really well. So I built this one up. Going the wrong way. I built this one up and just decided to make it look like a parking lot, like a gymkhana kind of thing. So I made up some little traffic cones and I painted it all like parking lots, and I dug into all of my old tires that because I never throw anything away. I'm such a hamster, it's just crazy. And so I had hundreds of pairs of tires that have come off of cars that I've changed the tires on, and just painted them some red and some white and put them out there, stuck them down and made kind of little areas. And it's actually quite a lot of fun, that just to run one car or to get 2 guys and run 2 cars. Yeah.
What paint did you use, Dennis?
This paint is a paint called UMA, a urethane modified acrylic. I bought it on Amazon. I bought a quart of it on Amazon. It's white, so you have to buy a black tint. And so I bought one. It's just a little bottle of tint, and you put that little bottle of tint, it's like 1 ounce of tint, into the quart of paint, and it comes out this gray color.
Yeah, the color is beautiful,
Thank you.
Dennis, I have to say, I really have to thank you, because when my wife asks me why I have so many things from now on, I'm going to say I'm a hamster.
Yeah, I'm the hamster. That's for sure. So that's that one. Let me go back and I'll give you I think most of you have seen my current track, right? Which is this one that stands on the patio behind my garage. It's 60 feet and 3 inches lap length on a 16x6 board, and has going the wrong way. Has quite a lot of little details on it. I have some photos somewhere of all the. I built pit buildings, and there's a gantry across the track that carries the lap counting systems, and there's figurines all around it and so on. So that's very pleasant track. It's been out there nearly at least 10 years now, and everything still runs perfectly. It gets covered over with a big tarpaulin at night like that, and in the winter, and when it rains, and it keeps most of the dirt and dust off, but it's not all of it.
How long does it take to cover, Dennis?
Say again, sorry.
How long does it take you to cover your track like that?
Oh, about 10 minutes. Actually, the track itself nowadays, those photographs are old. I have a new. I haven't got it there now. I have a new system with. I used some of that white pipe, the PVC pipe, and made a pipe frame that comes apart in 2 pieces, and I take that off. So I just carry that out into the garage, into the garden, bring it back in, plug it all together, put it down, and then just drape the top over the top. It takes me about 10 minutes to get it up and running, or to close it down again. It's not a big job.
It's a testament to the braid that you chose, or rather that you chose braid rather than
braid rather than tape. Yes, I would agree with that. I've got a couple of other photographs too, if you want to see them.
Sure, we got plenty of time.
Okay.
Anybody else who wants to share pictures of any past, present, current, future, personal track, club track, whatever you want to share, get ready and we'll call on you.
This one belongs to a friend of mine. He used to live in Rancho Palos Verdes down here, and he lives up in Oregon now. And it's a 4-lane. It was routed following basically the same layout that you used to have using Arch and Track on the same table. So it's quite long. It's 80 something feet, I seem to remember, and quite a nice track to drive. It used the same paint as mine. These photos were taken very early on before he managed to do any scenery on it. This one, I had one more, I think. Where is it? This one. This one belongs to a friend of mine in Brisbane. But the track itself was built in South Africa. I have a South African friend who lives in Brisbane, and he commissioned a guy in South Africa who's probably the best builder out there to build it for him. And then they shipped it out to Australia, and he assembled that. He has a place just outside of Brisbane with a big piece of ground, and so he has a separate shed out there that is this race room. Really nice.
That's Jan's place, isn't it, Dennis?
Yeah.
I've raced on that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Great setup, and he's got so many model planes, and that shed is amazing.
Who am I listening to?
Wayne.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's Jan Restor's place. Yeah, he and I've been friends since about 1975. We were more like brothers and friends at one point, and then we went into business together. And then we were much more like brothers than friends, in that we didn't speak to each other for about 20 years. It's not a good thing to go into business with your friends, but we've patched it up since then.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. I get texts every now and then from them finding out, just checking that we're all doing okay.
Yeah, haven't been there for a while, but I have raced on it. Yeah, it's a great track.
Okay, yeah, it's a great track. All right. I guess that's about.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think that's about it that I've got. Oh no, one more.
Okay.
This one belongs to. Get out the way. Yeah, this one belongs to.
I feel like I'm at
my buddy Phil, down the street from me. Effectively about 15 minutes drive. Another one out on the patio. Did we talk about the weather in Southern California? We could do this kind of thing. And oops, wrong way. And this one, it's a kind of a copy of my track, but it's different. He straightened out some of the turns, and he widened some of the turns, and he collapsed things a little bit. And it's on the same length of board, 16 feet, but it's 7 feet wide. So the radii of the turns are a lot different, and as a result of that, it drives completely differently to my track. And all the muscle memory that I've built up over 10 years is nothing but a disadvantage when I go there, because I think that I can drive it the same way, and I can't. But he did a really nice job. He's still got a bit of work to do on scenery and so on, but it's very nice. It's very flat and smooth. And that's me.
Are you sure?
I got lots more if you want them, but I'd have to go look for them now.
Well, we got other people to share, but we have plenty of time, so we'll probably end up coming back to you. I've got some stuff. It looks like Don found some new things to share. What did you want to share, Don?
Okay, I showed you my big cars. Now, this is my little ones.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
Now, Don, what kind of track is that? Is that AFX or?
Yes, it is.
I'm always amazed at when I see such small scale things look so realistic, because I know how small those are.
Yeah, I guess the nice part of that is that there's a lot of model train stuff that's the right scale.
That's true.
Well, that's what I originally built, was an HO scale slot car and model railroad layout, but unfortunately there are no pictures of that.
I was looking in Europe for that scale, but they don't sell it anymore. It's only America.
Yeah, it does seem to be a lot more popular in the States than elsewhere.
There's still quite a lot of HO scale racing going on in the UK, though.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think that's it.
Yeah, there's the Who, and there's and DHORC, and I mean, it's not that it's gone away, but it definitely, I certainly see a lot more, news and whatnot regarding HO from the States. Maybe that's just confirmation.
There is no deal. There is at this moment there is no deal in Europe.
Yeah,
not at all. You can't buy nothing.
Got to import it, just like we have to import some stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I did want to mention that Dewann has an overview walkthrough video of his track, and rather than having it stutter by during the Zoom call, I'm going to put it in the description of the video. So if you're watching this video on anything other than YouTube, like if you're watching it on Facebook or a forum or something, click the title of the video so you can see the description where I put the links to the things that I say linked down below, and then you can click the link and watch those things. Dewann's video is going to be linked in the description, so you can hit that and watch that at your leisure, and then we will talk more about other tracks. Dennis and Don have already gone, so I'm going to put your hands down.
Sorry.
And I am going to go ahead and show them the stuff that I put together, and I should have started this earlier, but here we go. Okay, so I'm going to just kind of go in reverse chronological order of all the tracks that I found pictures of in my Google Pictures photo album. So this is one of the current EMSA analog tracks, obviously Scalextric Sport track, 4-lane. This is the second track at this particular owner's home. It's got some interesting things going on about it, but good track, lots of fun. Let me make sure I can use my keyboard here. There we go.
It's a great picture of the adults playing while the poor child's watching.
He gets to play early on, but his bedtime is much sooner than ours is, so he usually has to go and do his bedtime things. But yeah, that's not an uncommon thing at some of our tracks is little kids who want to play, but they're not allowed to. But yeah, he gets to play a little bit at first. And this is, Bluff might recognize this track. This was formerly known as, I've forgotten the name of it. It used to be owned by one of our former members, Tim Elvins. Then it got moved to our current member, Pat. It's his track now. It used to be fully landscaped, but when it got moved from Tim's to Pat's, it got chopped up so that it could be moved. And so the landscaping was damaged in that process. So he just tore it all out and was going to re-landscape it. And he has also, it was tape, copper tape. So now he's changing it to braid and completely pretty much refurbishing it from the wood up into a fully braided, routed track. And then he's going to do the landscaping and everything. Unfortunately, he doesn't have a whole lot of free time. So this is the condition of the track like a month or two ago. And I'm pretty sure it's the same condition. We're all looking forward to racing on this track again in hopefully the not too distant future. But yeah, it's in limbo, but it's a fantastic track. If you look at some of my past videos of racing with EMSA, you'll see some videos that include this track.
When I built that, it was 5 lanes.
Really?
Yeah.
And Tim changed it to 4?
Yep.
Wow.
That squeeze portion looks awesome.
The whole straightaway is squeezed.
Yeah, the squeeze starts here and goes all the way up and around the back and then opens back up out here. And
when it was 5 lanes, the guy in the center lane could slow right down and back everybody up behind him.
I bet. Yeah, and yeah, it would have to be in the center lane because 1 and 4 can actually race side by side. They're far enough apart that even though there's only enough room for a tiny sliver of wood and then braid and slot and braid and slot.
Yeah, it was 1 inch spacing.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually love this squeeze, even though it's really long, because there's no question whether or not you need to slow down or speed up to avoid getting squeezed off the track. And then once you're in, you can pretty much go flat out. You're basically going full speed blip, and then full speed blip, and then you're back into the technical area. Fantastic track. We're all, every time we race at Pat's, we're basically bugging him to work on this track some more and offering to go help him. But yeah, I'm sure we'll have updates on that. This is one of the HO tracks. This is Brad's track. This is from when I went to Wisconsin. These are all fantastic tracks. This is the mini cat spa ring, so a reimagining of the cat spa ring that some of you may know of. The blue track and the red and the yellow track. This is the current iteration of what used to be the Fantasy World 4-lane electric sport track. This is Roger's track. And since I'm going back in time, you'll actually see the older version, which doesn't have the overpass. This course is exactly the same as the original course, except the original course, it turned in here and went and continued on the infield, and then over here it went straight across the back wall. So it was a flat track with no overpass before, and then we just did this minor modification to turn it into a figure 8. Everybody loves it now. This is Blair's current track, is the one that was recently built by Roger. And you guys have seen this in some previous videos. Roger's using the old slot racer kit to do tracks and did a fantastic job on this track. Lots of guys love this track. This is the one that has the squeezes I don't like. This is a squeeze right here. So most of the guys don't actually slow down or speed up to avoid being side by side. So they end up knocking each other off if they're actually side by side. And then there's another squeeze like that on the overpass. Like as it goes off of the bridge and starts to come down the hill, there's a squeeze just like that. So frustrating. And it's hard to remember that those are actually squeezes that you got to slow down or speed up for, and strategically let him pass, or riskily don't let him pass and end up knocking yourself out, especially because we're racing the Pioneer Legends cars, which are basically open wheel cars. So they easily knock each other out if you touch. And this is Eric's old track. So this is the one that I started with. This is his previous layout. And it was a little bit smaller, the previous version. This version is a little bit smaller than the one I showed you earlier. I can skip back to that. There it is. So this is the same guy, same owner. This is the current track, and this is the old track. I mean, it was still fun, but he had the wiggle before and at the beginning and the ending of the straights, which I'm not a big fan of, and a lot of R1 turns. So there's a lot of technical challenge in here for that lane, which most people didn't like very much. And the other from same track from the other end, get a better view. See how it kind of wiggles out right there. And this is, I forget how long this track was. This is actually, I forget the owner's name, but he invited me for a visit a couple of years ago, and he actually has multiple tracks in this facility. It's at his workplace. I'm pretty sure this track is 24 feet long and 4 feet wide. It's basically just a long table. It might actually be 30 feet long or 32 feet long, but it's basically just a bunch of sheets of wood, and he just made a long straightaway and then wiggles all the way back. As you can see, the lane spacing changes because he was just basically freehanding all 3 lanes through the whole back stretch. This is the second track in that same facility, a 4-lane electric sport track. Pretty common layout style there, flattened figure 8 kind of thing going on. That was a good track, fast track, magnet cars. But he also had this 2-lane digital monstrosity. I think this is like 8 by 16 except with this little notch in here. But if you come out in here, it was basically just get the grabbers because you're barely going to be able to reach the car. That's what this notch is for, is just to make it easier for a guy to stand here and reach some of the stuff in here. But we're racing 6 cars on this, and as you can see, there's lots of hairpins going on here as well. I think this might be a video or just a different shot of that same track. This is Dan's track. Also used Bluff's kit to do this track, and I don't think I have a wider shot of this track, but again, great 3-lane wood routed track. He's got a nice kind of I don't know, seashell kind of thing going on in here, where it whips back and almost does a full 180 before it whips back around for the inside straight. Very challenging there. Oh, and here's me hanging out with Mauricio Ferrari from Slot It. Name drop, haha. This is Alan's modular 6-lane track. I forget the name of the maker of this track, but it's like some Spanish company, and it can be put in different configurations because it's all, big sections that are all less than, 4x6-ish or something. Like here's a section right here. So the whole straightaway is made up of like 6 different pieces of straight. And then, this 180 degrees is 2 pieces. And then this is, so you can configure it different ways, but I think I have a couple views of that track probably later on. I did not organize these pictures very well. So stop me at any point if you want me to circle back on anything or address anything that you see. This is one of the Digital Club's tracks. This is his latest iteration. And I remember to take pictures of this one because he did this wonderful bi-directional overpass pit lane because his track is bi-directional. So with Scalextric Digital, the lane changers are only designed to work in one direction. You've got active flippers on one side and then passive merge points on the other side. So you can't really run digitally the other direction because you don't have any lane changers that function. So he wanted to be able to race both directions. So he chopped together lane changers so that every single lane changer is bidirectional. So you'll see flippers at both ends of all of these lane changers. And so you have to have a pit lane that's also bidirectional. and he wanted there to be enough room for multiple cars to be in the pit lane. And his straightaway wasn't long enough for a bidirectional multiple lane pit lane. So he created this overpass. So if we're running this direction away from the camera, you have to get into the pit lane on the left lane, and then you go up and around, and then you park up here somewhere. And then when you come back into the track, you're coming in on the right lane and merge in there. And when we're running the opposite direction, of course, you're still coming off on the left lane and coming back in on the right, but it's on the opposite side of the track because you're running the opposite direction. So I had to get some pictures of this because it's just crazy.
Very cool.
It's a wonderful solution.
It's an interesting solution. And for weeks he was telling us, oh, you guys are going to love my track update. And we had no idea we were all guessing at what he had done, and none of us were anywhere near guessing anything like this. So this was like, oh my goodness, had to take pictures of that.
Yeah, understand.
Are you back to club racing on the digital side?
Not yet. Hopefully soon.
Okay.
They're not real stoked about getting together just yet. But they're mildly interested. I've tested the waters and got some positive feedback. So hopefully in the next few months.
Greg, sorry to interrupt. Was that a lane change on the corner there?
So like right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's his racing line lane changer. So he was one of the guys that took 2 curved lane changers and then spliced them together so that you basically have a racing line that changes from the inside to the inside through a chicane.
Oh, wow.
And he's got 2 of these on the track. See if I can get the other one. So here's one right here. So you go from the outside to the outside. And if you're on that lane and take that lane changer, you can go much, much faster through that chicane. And then the other one is right here. So and he did it so that you have to change lanes if you want to use both of the racing lines. So if you take this racing line, you're on the outside, and if you're on the outside all the way to here, then you're stuck slowing down for that chicane. If you want to take that chicane, then you have to change lanes over here. So you have to slow down a little bit there. So you always have, it's a give and take on his track. So he worked very hard to make sure that neither lane had any distinct advantage. So you can see it's a figure 8, so the lane lengths are the same. And in previous iterations of his layout, he had the racing lines so that you could actually take them both without any lane changing in between. So you could literally just stay on one lane and take both of the racing lines, which was too much of an advantage. So then he reworked it so that you had to at least slow down a little bit for one lane change if you wanted to take them both. And there's still such a big advantage to take those the chicane lane change that you happily give up a tiny bit of speed to make that lane change in order to take both of the racing lines. Yeah, I look forward to racing on that track again for sure. Yeah. This is Russ's track. You guys have seen this. This is obviously a lot earlier on, before he had quite so much decoration all over the track. I might have an even earlier one of this track, but a little bit easier to see the actual track without all the decorations on it. Another view of that 6-laner at Allen's that I was telling you about earlier. So it's got a nice bridge.
It's actually a nice track to drive.
It is a very nice track. Yeah. Have you come up for his endurance races?
Yeah, I raced a 24-hour there one time. So I drove on both tracks, and I think I prefer that. For 30-second scale anyway, I would prefer that track to the 8-lane track.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I have any pictures of the 8-lane, but I wish I did.
You can find some somewhere.
Yeah, if you have some, feel free to dig them up. This is my portable digital track. So this is the one that it splits up into 4 pieces, and I would take it to parties, and this was a corporate thing, celebration of some sort they had me come out for. There's my son Alex helping me out. This is, as you can see, a Carrera digital track. This is another Russ in the digital club, and yeah, you can see he loves Carrera digital, and he's got as much track as he could possibly fit in there. You leaving, Henry? All right, we'll see you next time. So yeah,
it's bedtime. It's 2 o'clock.
Bedtime. Yeah, go get some shut eye.
Bye.
So yeah, as you can see, massive 4-lane high bank curved track, and funny little story. You know, he primarily races with magnets, and was convinced that you cannot possibly run on this without magnets, because of course if you stop on this, the car's gonna slide off. And even with magnets, if you don't have very much grip, if you stop, and the car is, slipping one side, it'll still slide off. But we helped him understand that with a proper amount of grip and a continuous appropriate speed, you can get through that whole bank section without sliding off with no magnets. But it's a very challenging course. As you can see, it's got a lot of bridging and underpassing. This goes under there, turns around, comes back through there, goes under there.
Greg, how long is that? It looks massive.
I have no idea. It's got to be over 100 feet. It's ridiculously long, and the table has got to be like 12 by 24 or something like that. It's huge. Wow. And Carrera is big tracks. I mean, it's 1/24th scale track, and he's got a lot of it on here. So yeah, big track. This is Dan's track that I showed you earlier. It had the shell tower in the foreground, so you can see what I was talking about. It pretty much does a whole 182 times in this 3.5-4 foot space right there. That is the Widowmaker right there. That separates the men from the boys on this track, for sure.
Which direction does it run?
He does both directions, but primarily right to left down the inside straight, left to right on the front straight. So it's figure 8. I don't know what you call that, clockwise or anti-clockwise. Both. But yeah, so yeah, good track. And this is Monty's aka Kid Voltage's Carrera Digital track. We raced on his endurance. He usually does a 4-hour endurance every year, except for the last 2 years, obviously. Good Carrera Digital track. This is one of the previous analog track owners' sport track. This track was infamous for having to drive on blind faith and just hoping that you're not going too fast, because your car pretty much disappears for this whole length because you're under all this, right? The car goes over here, disappears, and then you're under this. And there's turns in here. It doesn't just turn and then go straight. There's turns and wiggles and kinks all throughout this whole underpassing section. And then it kinks around the column, the pillar there as well. And he's got lots of landscaping to hide the cars as well. Not a favorite track, but we raced on it because we love racing. I think I have a picture of his other track somewhere, but I don't think I found it for tonight. And yeah, here you can see how it disappears under the bridge a couple of times. Fortunately, the drivers are all along this area here. There's one driver back in the corner. This is actually most people's favorite spot back here, because in order to even race from back there, you stand on a pedestal, and so you get a higher viewpoint, which makes it easier to race from. Your head is brushing the ceiling, but it's a lot easier to race the track from there. And then the other 3 guys are along this front area here, and so if you're along this front area, you pretty much aren't going to see your car for this whole underneath there. This is Doc Doom, his Scalextric digital track. He's in southern Washington, Vancouver area. Went down for a visit and had fun on his track, and we played lots of Scalextric digital with a couple of the other draw guys that went down for a visit. As you can see, a nice, big, technical, fast track.
I see a hockey puck.
He must be a hockey fan.
Hey!
Right there. Yeah, and as you can see, lots of landscaping and great model work. I didn't want to spend too much time on every track because I had lots of tracks I wanted to share. Don't worry, everybody, we still got 50 minutes to go. This is one of the other digital tracks. This racer liked to do 4 lanes, but he also liked to do a very long pit lane. So I think, where is his pit lane? I think his pit lane is actually, yeah, here it is, in here. So this is a pit lane along there, and then lane changers to pit stalls, and then, yeah, complicated track. He changed his track. This was Dave. He passed away last year, but he changed his track about pretty much every time we went to race, it would be a new track in some fashion. And we always got annoyed with him because he would just yank his tracks apart and slam them together, and so the power continuity was terrible. And so we would always go and go early to help fix any problems with the track. But he was a great guy, so we're gonna miss him. Another draw track, digital track, 2-lane Scalextric Sport. There's my Carrera digital track that I put together for a nice figure 8. That's the actual set. And another view of, there's the 8-lane track there in the background somewhere. But this is like right after he set up the 6-lane track in his fancy new commercial building. Oh, hey, there's Tim. Oh, and there's another view of Russ's giant Carrera digital track. This is actually slightly different than the one that I showed you earlier, but pretty close. Hey, there's the 8-laner. Oh, this is a video. I'm gonna pause it.
I just found some of the photo.
Well, you probably got more pictures than I do, so I thought this was a still image, so
it is now, yeah. Well,
yeah, I'm not gonna bother showing the video because it's just gonna be all choppy anyway. So
it's not a bad track. It's just that this little kink going down. If you're running left to right down the straightaway, this little kink here is a killer, because you come out of the turn at the beginning of it and you hammer it, and then you've got to brake and then hammer it again.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about this track, or what makes this track so much different from the 6-laner, is that the 6-laner's turns are pretty much all consistent radius turns.
Mhm.
You go in at one radius, you exit from the same radius. Whereas this one,
Yeah, this
all of
one, the radii change all the time.
yeah, they're either opening or closing, or
Yeah.
or whatever. So this was always my killer in here. Is I would come out of here, I would slow down going under the bridge, and then I would always either go way too fast or way too slow. I could never get the right speed through this
Yeah.
because it's closing, and then you got to get ready for this little blip before that kink that you were talking about. Yeah, it's a challenging track. And like you were saying, when you do when you do Alan's 24-hour endurance race, you race on both tracks. You're
Yeah.
going through the 8 lanes here and then the 6 lanes on the other track.
That's right. Yeah. It's a lot of
No
work.
mercy.
When I did the 24-hour, we were 3 people in the team. So one guy was driving, one guy was marshalling, one guy was sleeping. And then that's how it went all the way through for 24 hours. It was brutal.
Yep. Yeah. You won't catch me doing anything other than swinging by and laughing at you guys doing that.
Oh, okay. We'll see.
He's got this 4-lane track as well. It's pretty much always covered up with merchandise at this point, but
And dust.
and dust, yeah. But he has this little 4-laner in there that he would let the kids play on while the big boys were playing on the big tracks. And this is Carlos's Scalextric digital track. As you can see, he loved the technical, and he had this giant bridge system that started from that back area and went over all this. Here's the pit lane back here that you can barely see, and hairpins galore. and he did 3 lanes that merged. So if you weren't in this center lane, you were either having to enter an extra lane or merge from the outside to the inside lane because of the way he set up the pit lane changers to create that extra lane. And then if you stayed on that center lane, you ended up in either the outside or the inside later on. So you pretty much were always changing lanes in order to stay on the optimum, the fastest lane. You couldn't not change lanes, which was his goal for this particular layout.
And what do you think about that? I would have thought that is one of the objects.
I'm not a fan of it, but I deal with it.
Okay.
My take on digital is generally that I like the traffic, and I think the traffic in itself is enough for the enjoyment of it.
Okay.
I don't like being forced into a lane that I don't want to be in, using techniques like that. But if it's in there, then I deal with it and accommodate my driving as such.
Okay.
I mean, that's why I don't like, just the plain forced crossover pieces to be in a digital track, or squeezes in a digital track, because you got 6 cars on this. It's hectic enough, and fuel and tires and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
And there's a little SCX compact I put together on vacation one time and designed it so that I could do 4-lane racing with a mirrored track with crossovers. So I didn't have the right pieces to nest it to do a proper 4-lane track. So it's basically kind of a race of champions kind of thing. So there's only 4 lanes side by side going down that middle stretch. And then they split off and do other things. As you would imagine with the children, it became a crashing derby. What was that?
I was asking if it was a demolition derby.
Pretty much. Yep. Okay. But to be fair to the kids, they also took it as a challenge to kind of play cat and mouse with each other, right? Try to crash each other, but also try to avoid being crashed into. So it was a lot of fun, and I didn't bring it there expecting it to be like some well-organized race or anything. It was there for that purpose, and it did what it was brought there for. There's the other side of it. Oh, and there's a 3.5 by 7 foot portable-ish track I made a long time ago. That track is being held on by the Lex Locks button system that goes into the little round sockets on the bottom of Sport Track. Really nice system for mounting track to things. I also use that for my sectional portable track. And here is Vic's old track, Mr. Coy. That's him in the back. We haven't raced with him on his track for a while. He's still racing with us, but his track came down when his house did a whole bunch of remodeling, and it's not back up yet. So, but we keep bugging him to get his track going up, get back going soon as well.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun racing on, Greg. I remember that track. Yep, had good times.
Yeah, and he when I first started racing with them, it was classic track, and he had enough sport track to replicate in sport. And so he basically just one day he pulled up this classic and then put down the sport, and it was the exact same layout except with sport track.
Okay.
Did he have like a little model of that track in that hut that you just showed? Sorry.
No, this is a different track. So before,
I'm sorry. That's so cool.
That's actually from the Hallmark slot racing Christmas ornament, I think. I have that ornament. So if you guys are slot car fans and you don't have the Hallmark, the Santa playing with a slot car track ornament, then you need to go find that on eBay or something, because you're not a slot car racer unless you've got that ornament. But those are close-up pictures of this track. So I think I mentioned in the past I took a trip to Florida several years ago, and since I had free time, I said, hey, anybody in Florida, want to race while I'm down there? And this gentleman invited me to his house, and this was the one that's inside his house because cars go in the garage. So he didn't have it in his garage like normal people do. He has it in his house up on the upper level, and he basically filled this entire den-like area with this track. And as you can see, it's a fairly sizable 4-lane sport track. And he loved his magnets, and he knocked the pants off me when I was trying to race him, because home track advantage obviously, but also magnet familiarity. He was just going zing 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 zing. I could not keep up with him at all. But he did some fantastic scenery and diorama stuff going on with all his NASCAR and pit and figures and all that kind of stuff. So I figured I'd show some of that off. And then Steve's slot cars, selling slot cars at the slot car track. I think his name might have been Steve. And then there's my track. Oh, and the slop track, the 2x4 foot single lane, super little open proxy track that I made a few years ago for that proxy competition. And Monty's old SCX digital track, which he fully landscaped and everything with rock walls and all that jazz. And that's Alan's old track. I forgot the name of it. Bluff might remember, or John might remember.
Windsor.
The Windsor, yep, that's the one. The trickiest bit on this, if your car is fast enough, that's a little downhill dip right there. So if you're going fast enough, you will actually catch air on this full speed straightaway. And if your guide ain't planted and your car ain't driving straight, you're gonna end up in somebody else's lane, and then you hit the wall at the end of the track. But that's a panoramic shot. I couldn't actually get it in one picture without doing a panorama. Another portable track I did. Oh, here we go. Here's old video. Everybody ready? Here we go. So this is what Tim's track used to look like.
Oh yeah.
Everybody get to jump on you like that?
So those are racing NSR subcompacts, the hot hatches. So those are a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, beautiful track. Hopefully we get that going again. More of Vic's track, and that's pretty much it. All right, who wants to waste time? Gaz has got his hand up. Did you want to ask me something, or did you want to do some more track sharing?
I actually found some more photos.
Awesome. Go for it.
These are some of the ones from a few years ago when we were doing the proxies. This is one of the tracks in Greece. There's a makeshift rally track, or purpose-built rally track as they had over there. Another one. I think we had something like about 27 different tracks that they used throughout Europe. Another one from Alex. There's Alex in the nice little pink shirt. Wave to Alex.
That's Salmon.
Sorry.
It's Salmon, not pink.
Oh, sorry, Salmon. Yeah, he got smashed in the fire in Athens a couple of years ago. He's lucky to him and his family and that were lucky to get out of it. So, but yeah, he's been a supporter of it. He's online at the moment, designing a lot of 3D chassis and all that sort of stuff for a lot of the rally cars and a lot of other things.
So Alex in Greece.
Yep, Alexis in Greece.
Alexis in Greece. Yep. Okay, awesome.
Yep. I think that's the same one. What is this? Oh, it could be. Oh, this is Graham Lane's track in Italy. You've probably seen his track that he had. If you like buildings, this is part of his circuit that we ran on over there. He used to run an Italian league there for quite a while. He's now moved from Italy. He's in France again now. He went back to the UK and now he's back in France.
I remember watching him build. He would post build progress on that track, and the thing that I liked so much about that is it started out as a 2-lane digital track, and then he added single lane rally sections by cutting and splicing and joining and stuff. So and then he added a whole nother rally section with a giant bridge, trestle bridge, and everything.
Yeah,
just kept growing and growing.
Yep, yeah, that's Graham there on the left there, and there's Martin who gets on here every now and again. There's the full track there. Massive complex. It is really lovely track there. Buildings, the viaduct goes across through the tunnels around the outside. Yeah, well thought out and well run. That's an early shot there before he put all the brickwork on the other side there. He did a video of doing he cut out every little piece individually and glued each brick to the viaduct there to get it. More patience than I have. I just go for the online bit of brick there, just paint it. Yeah, just shove it on there.
Yeah, every stone hand laid basically.
Yep, and and the roof tiles as well. All the roof tiles were all done by hand. Amazing work. You'll find they're not labeled here. There's Kid Voltage. There you go, talking about him before. He was involved in ran a couple of rallies up there. This is one of his early tracks he was running on. Another one of his. I think it's the same track, just a different angle.
Yep.
There was a sort of rally target type thing that we're doing. So I went all around the places through America and that, and Canada. Bluff might remember this one. That's his original track. A little bit of inclination there, a little bit of hill climbing. There's some buildings there that look familiar. And this one's at Onslaught, also in Canada. I don't know what his name is, but he also ran a couple of rounds there. There's a guy by the name of Rally P in Florida. Really detailed little rally track he made up. Really nice.
I think that one is it entirely routed? I think he had like some plastic here and there. And
I think by the looks of it, it looks too even to be routed. I'd say there's inlaid a lot of plastic there, but I think a lot of it's been cut and shut.
Yeah, like going up the hill and through all that stuff and where it goes to 1 lane, but the 2-lane stuff is yep.
Yeah.
That was my favorite, going through the huts.
Yeah. And that's it. They're all from about 10 years ago.
That was from that rally proxy?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good stuff. Oh, we see got some more hands up. Wayne, did you want to share something?
Shall I give it a crack? Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Better open it first.
Yeah, you shared your folder, so you need to stop your share and then share the picture.
Yeah, you have to open the picture first and then share.
Open it first and then share. Okay, right.
No worries.
You probably already opened it.
This is track we used to race on the Gold Coast. It's now in storage at the moment because the guy moved, but that was upstairs in his house. We spent probably 2 years running on that with a CNC routed 4-lane, mostly magnet stuff, a few bit of no mag, but that was a lot of fun. Ooh.
You stopped your share.
Yeah. You know this stuff.
No worries. We've all done it.
Where is this other one? Oh my God. This is just a new one where we're currently racing at Dodge Valley. This is called Hellcat Pass. We've just refurbished this and repainted it, and it's non-magnetic braids, got a couple of little squeezes in it just here and around through here, and there's another little one there. But it's we've just begun racing on that the last week with the new surface, and it's really fun.
What kind of surface is it?
We repainted it with like Berger jet dry or something, like a pavement paint, and that was like a chalkboard paint. But it's good now. That's my little twisty track that was built. It's up in my shed, 2.5 meters by 1.8, little 2-lane, built by the Andrew Komnecki in Canberra. I bought that secondhand. The guy had it and been sitting for 12 months, done nothing with it. So I had to retape it, the whole thing, to get it to work properly.
Yeah.
Now, here's an interesting one. This controller I bought off a guy with some cars. It's got all these little, the Professor Motor style, has all these little adjustable things. I got no idea what it does. Switch, no idea.
Just the sensitivity of the controller.
Yeah. So there's 2 missing here, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
But that just adjusts it. So I don't know how it all works. All bands, I suppose, is it?
Well, because that's a controller that has a whole bunch of diodes in it, and the diodes are doubled up. So as you screw in those, as you tighten them up, they make a connection that shorts out one of the diodes in the pair. So when those little screws are all completely screwed in, all tight, then the controller is at its most sensitive. And then as you loosen them, and you don't need to loosen them far, they only need like 1 turn just to lift the bottom of that little knurled piece off the PC board. As you unscrew them, then the controller becomes less and less sensitive because you get more and more diodes into the circuit, so it drops the voltage more.
Right, okay. And the switch, I have no idea what that would do. Little switch just here, just two-way switch.
I don't either, unless he was switching the brakes off.
Yeah, maybe.
But I would have thought that it would need more than that to be dual polarity. That may be the other reason for it, is that you run it sometimes on a track where it's negative gate and other times where it's positive gate.
I'd bet it's brakes.
I think so too.
I think it's brakes because it works fine on the track, but yeah, I thought that would be the case because I've got these screwed right in at the moment and it works quite sensitive on high-powered cars, but as soon as you undo them all, it gets a bit wild.
Yeah.
Nice. Pictures of our, that's a little, there's a whole heap of, hang on a minute.
That's Lotzuka, that's in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I've got a few of those
photos from there. But we currently race on a 4-lane Carrera, which is about takes us about 8 seconds with no magnet car. So it's fun. It's a good little track. And it's a big one. This is an old track we used to race on after we refurbished it. This is called Kangaroo. Oh, hang on. You can see I'm really good at this.
Yeah, be careful not to close. Be careful not to close the image you're sharing.
Yeah, this was called Kangaroo Valley, and unfortunately, Kangaroo Valley met an untimely death. It got wet when it was in storage. This was after we moved it and refurbished it. It had a tight little squeeze downhill in here, and we adjusted it slightly, and it was really good fun. Great track. That was, yeah, see this little squeeze bit here?
Proper
There was a
squeeze.
Yeah, and there was a little squeeze in this gully here, just in this flat bit. Lots of elevation changes, really fun track. And that was after we'd run on it a fair bit with a bit more scenery and nicely rub it up.
Wow.
And this was the other track we had there, which was a 5-lane. It was monstrous. That was while it was getting rebuilt at the same place, but that was it when we finished it.
It's like 16.
That was a big track. That was about 45-meter lane length.
Wow.
And then we had, I haven't got any photos of that, another 5-laner that was 6-meter by about 3.5-meter platform. It was about 55-meter lane length.
55 meters.
Yeah, it's big.
165 feet.
And that's my little 2-lane
Little
track that I
para.
currently have. Yeah, that's fun. That's my little fun track. So that's about it. I don't have any pictures of that big one. So, but it's currently a guy's got that now, and he's restoring it and going to rebuild it. It'll be slightly different. It won't be quite as big, but because not too many places have a 10-meter space to accommodate that monster.
You just about need a haul for that.
That was about 10 seconds to get around with an NSR.
Wow. Yeah, that's a nice big track.
Yeah, it was huge. But yeah, that was just a few of those ones we have. So
Good stuff. Thanks for sharing, Wayne. And Steve, Mr. Neal, you've got your hand up. What you got today? You're still muted.
There, I'm now muted. I'm having a lot of problems with the internet tonight here. It keeps going in and out, and I keep so I don't even want to attempt to go into pictures and stuff, but I can before I run off to feed my dogs. Can you see that?
Yeah.
This is my track at present. I know you've all seen it before. Of course, the night lighting's on. My favorite thing is this garage I built, all from scratch with balsa wood, and well, I'm a modeler by trade, so and I've done a lot of buildings. I haven't finished this diner yet, which is really bright. There, you can see the bar in the background, which I need to put tables and chairs and things in. But this is a scale electric track.
And drinks, yeah.
Hell with the tables and chairs, you need the drinks.
It's what I can fit in this back room here in our house, which is really small. So it's about, I don't know, it's about 12 feet by 5 across. And I'm always working on it. I have new lights to put on and things like that. Currently, I'm going through my cars and seeing which ones are performing best for the race that we have with our group, the Far Out Slot Car Club, this Saturday at Stevens' house, which is a great track. And I do have pictures here somewhere, but I'll have video from it from the Saturday. And I just got this little gem.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it is. And I didn't know you could still find these. I did not know you could still find these. I haven't put the Australian markings on it yet, but I'm about to. But it's just a gorgeous car, and it runs very smooth. And this will absolutely beat my NSR 917, which is probably one of the best handling, quickest cars that I've ever driven as a slot car. But this thing actually, it's got inserts for it too that I haven't put in yet. This thing really performs. It's not the fastest motor in the world, but what you lose in the straightaway, you certainly gain in the turns. So that was my short but brief track showing. I'm sitting here with my laptop in my lap because the Wi-Fi, it's either my Wi-Fi machine because I'm way in the back on the other side of the backyard. It's not a garage. It's sort of like a washroom, but it's very cozy, and I have lots of computers back here and stuff. So sometimes the connection's not that great.
Yeah, cable, a wired connection is always better.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I know, and I just have garbage here and garbage at my big shop in Ventura, which whereas where I'd love to build a big routed track because I've got enough room to have, you know, a 30-foot long track if I wanted to. The only problem is I'd have to keep my sports car on the street, and that's never going to happen.
Yeah, probably not a good idea.
No. Anyway, I got to run, you guys. It was great. I love seeing all the tracks and everything tonight, and hopefully next week I'll have a better connection. Hopefully you were able to see some of that. So.
Oh yeah, looked good. Yeah, thanks for sharing, Steve. Glad you could come.
You bet. We'll see you next week.
All right, next week or next time. And looks like Jim's got his hand up. Got some pictures to share, Mr. Rose?
I think so. Let's see here.
Well, first off, congratulate him for winning the Enduro at Electric Dreams over the weekend.
Looks like he's going to congratulate himself there.
Just going to say that. Look at that. There you go.
This is not actually track so much as a little bit of track, but more of a club corner kind of thing. So 3 of us from Northern California went down to Electric Dreams over the weekend, and 1 extra person from Northern California that we didn't know was going to come showed up, and 14 entries. We just, we had a great time, very well run event. One of the most fun tracks I've ever run on. So as far as tracks go, there's the track. And Dennis, you can tell us, I'm sure, why this is called Cunningham Raceway.
All right, so the lady who works behind the counter, Kristen, her father is Clayton Cunningham, and
that explains it.
And he is the chief mechanic for Scott Bader, and works on all of Scott, who owns Electric Dreams, and Clayton works on all of Scott's full-size race cars. So that was why it was named after him.
Sounds good. Good thing I was very nice to her, because she was very nice to me 3 or 4 months ago on the phone when I had a problem with an order. And I actually mentioned that to her, that whoever I talked to, which I assumed was her, was very, very helpful. So I really appreciated her.
She's a great lady. She does a fantastic job in that place.
There are the entries. There were 14 entries. So 28 people entered the event. My car is right here. The other Northern California is the Nissan. And then my other friend from Northern California loaned one team one of his cars. So we had 3 cars in the event. Met some people that I hadn't met before in person. This is the other NorCal team, the Silicon City Raceway team. Parc Fermé was quite informal. So there's all the cars getting ready to run. The racing begins. This is the start of, there were 14 teams. We ran a 1 minute qualifying per team to get the fastest lap to seed the heats. So theoretically, the fastest 7 cars were in the second heat. And again, theoretically, the slowest were in the first heat. The first heat started with one person hooking up backwards, and one of these cars went headlong into that wall. And I do have that on video, but I won't play that.
Oh no.
I think it was, I don't know who this is, but I think it was him that hooked up backwards, and one of these cars in the middle went straight into the wall headlong. And then, yeah, we did pretty good. We had a great time, prepared the cars just like I did in my video, and we had some pretty good success, but more of that.
I would think that's an understatement.
So these are the 2 Northern California teams. This is the team we loaned a car to. And so again, I want to thank Marco and Electric Dreams and everybody down there, including Dennis and everybody. We had a great team. Dennis hooked me up with a great teammate who I'd never met before, and he drove extremely well. So appreciate that, Dennis. And
no, you're welcome. Next time I'll hook him up with my teammate and I'll drive with you.
Sounds good to me.
No, it was a great event. Everything worked very well, and it went very smoothly. And Jim's car was amazing. He kicked our butts big time, which I'm not terribly surprised by, because most of the guys who are running at Electric Dreams right now are fairly new to it. I think that a lot of the guys, this is really their first attempt at competitive racing, and
actually, it's a good showing from them
Yeah, I think in general it was a good showing from everybody because the results all the way down the row were not bad at all.
It was really nice to have that. I figured there'd be about 8 or 10 teams, but to end up with 14 teams, I thought was a really good showing.
Oh, absolutely. I couldn't agree more.
So looking forward to coming back down there and racing again. And, quite honestly, we're just ahead of the curve right now. That doesn't mean we're better, but we've just advanced a little bit better at this point with these cars. So looking forward to coming down there and probably going the other way at some time.
Yeah.
And you also showed, a lot of people who are just getting into the hobby, what they're aiming for, and what they can accomplish with, little bit.
Yeah, and the car I run was directly out of the video that I did a couple of weeks ago. It showed exactly the parts I used and how I put it together. So it wasn't a big secret or anything like that.
And that's the one I was going to ask. Was it the one you did with the Sidewinder conversion?
No, that's not allowed. It's the one.
That was the inline one.
The Gunston Porsche 956. I didn't do a build on it, but I showed all the specific parts I was going to use because it's a totally different rule set than what we're used to. But the big advantage we have is in tires. We know how to build those tires and make those tires work. And I literally, one of the guys on Friday, because I went down a couple days early, one of the guys was struggling. I took the tires off of one of my backup cars to put it on his car and he went a second a lap faster. So 90%.
Tire prep's the thing I'm still working on. As Dennis found out driving my, I think you did you do the Can-Am Proxy the other day or the Porsche one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my little BRM.
Dennis, I'm going to try to get down there for the race on the 8th. I'm not sure if I can or not, but then you're running Revo slot. That would put us all on an equal playing field.
True. Yeah. Well, they're running Group C and Revo slot that day.
I'll bring the same Group C car, and then the Revo slot will be something new to me because I don't even own one right now.
Yeah. They're fun to drive on that track too.
Yeah, they're good cars. We've been running Revos and they're great with the standard tires on them.
So Wayne, I don't know what you did with those tires, Brady, but they are loose on the rims already.
They're already loose on the rims, are they?
They're not. They didn't stick. Whatever you used to stick them.
Whatever I used, they didn't stick.
Nope. And so that's what's causing a lot of the chatter in that car.
Yeah.
So Jim, how much do you want to share your break-in tire procedure?
I think he's shown that already, hasn't he?
A couple of months ago about that that bubble secret thingy.
Yeah, there's more to it than that.
That's pretty much it. I mean, literally, the tires that I ran, I put the part numbers up on my channel a couple weeks ago. So it's the air wheels with 5206 NSR. I mounted them about a week. I mounted them 2 weeks ago. And I massaged oil in them about 3 times a day for 10 days.
10 days.
So patience and
yeah.
So being retired, I'm around the house. So,
so thank you for
rub oil in them at lunch, run oil in them at dinner, and do it 3 or 4 times a day.
And which
10 to 12 days, and they start to grow just a little bit of bubble, and they get really sticky, and they work really good.
The problem is too, though, now those are 5206s. You're not going to find 5206s anymore. You're going to find 5206 Evos.
Evos, yeah, they're the problem.
And the Evos are not the same animal.
Now, I've heard that there's a new Scale Auto 825 compound tire coming out. That's supposed to be
yeah.
Does anybody know about that?
Oh yeah, the GT3 Proxy cars, the 2 Czech boys, they smashed everybody.
Is that what they were running? I saw that video.
Yep.
So I see those tires on Pendle Slot, but they haven't made it over here yet.
Yeah, everyone's gone mad on them, trying to buy them now.
Which oil do you use, Jim?
On my car?
On your tires.
5206 NSR non-Evo. I still have some left.
No, I said which oil?
Oh, NSR.
Really? Okay. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
Frank, were you putting oil on them 3 times a day for 10 days straight?
No, I just I think I did it twice on the machine for about 5 hours each, and they still didn't hook up.
Not good enough. 10 days straight.
Yeah,
10 days straight, 3 times a day massaging.
Yeah, the machine helps, but
Good therapy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, yeah.
I put a couple of hours on my tires too, but I was running the NS the slotted N22s, and I just don't think that I got the same. First of all, I don't know that they react to the NSR oil the same way as the Ultra Grips do, and secondly, I don't. It probably wasn't long enough, but it did help. But what I found was after a while that my traction was starting to go off on the track, and I had to keep them very clean. And
I did notice a lot of people stopping to clean tires after 3 to 5 minutes, and I didn't have to do that.
yeah, I had to do that later in the race, not early in the race. I didn't need to, but later in the race I did. But then the other thing that I noticed was that when I got the car home, that the glue was starting to break away on the outside.
Mine did that Friday night, so I re-glued them before the race on Saturday. So they started to split a little, not split, but they started to come unglued.
Yeah.
So
I tried something different on a second set of tires. I have a can of an industrial rubber and vinyl spray contact adhesive from 3M, super strong stuff. And I decided, well, I'm going to try some of this. Man, I just about ate the tire up before I ever got it even onto the rim.
Yeah, live and learn.
Yeah, the solvent that they use to allow you to spray with that stuff, just because I turned the tire inside out so that I could, because I squirted some of this adhesive into a little container, and then I was using a Q-tip, dipped into it, and then putting it onto the tire, and I had the tire turned inside out, and the beads of the tire started to split straight away as soon as I put the stuff on it. So what the hell is in there? Is there solvent? I don't know, but man, it doesn't like rubber tires. It's great for foam, but not good for rubber.
Speaking of cleaning, it looked like there was a clean under green rule. Basically, you could just pull your car off a track under green.
It goes clean under green, yeah.
Right.
Speaking
you were allowed to clean at lane change, right? Because the two semifinals were an hour, so they were 10 minutes per lane, and with two drivers, there was a track call at 5 minutes where you could to change drivers, but you weren't allowed to touch the cars. And then because there were 7 in a heat, you still got one heat that you didn't have to ride, and you were actually allowed to work on the car during that time. But there were other rules that were good, like if you lost a wing, or you had to attach it again before you crossed the lap counter, otherwise you wouldn't. That lap would be deleted. Things like that. So all of that worked out pretty well.
Yeah, all in all, it's for a first-time race there, more or less a first-time race. I thought Marco did a great job.
Yeah, for a first-time race director, you did well.
He was very strict, but he was very. Let me tell you a real quick story. Friday night, I was practicing. And he came over and looked at the bottom of my car, and on the bottom of my car, I had tape, to limit the pod movement. But it was a big piece of tape. It was probably, it's one of those wide rolls of tape, not just a thin half-inch roll of tape. And he looked at it and he goes, "That could theoretically be construed as extra ballast." And I didn't agree with him, but he took the problem and rectified it before it became a problem. So I just cut the tape so it was thinner. And I appreciated that, because he nipped something in the bud, as opposed to, without going into things, the FIA, he nipped that in the bud before it became a problem. So I really appreciated that.
Yep.
I understood that reference. Alan was being very vocal about his opinion on what happened. So I learned what happened on the race. We raced at Alan's on Monday. Speaking of which, and speaking of traction, my car did not lose traction throughout the racing night. Now, whether that's because I didn't do any treatment, since last week, or because it's Alan's track, which is like practically got a solid layer of rubber on top of the paint, or what, but all I know is I'm going to continue not putting anything on those tires for the rest of this series. But yeah, so we got 10 minutes left. Does anybody want to? It looks like we're running out of track sharing.
Oh, hell no. I got plenty more if you want them.
Hey, that's what tonight is all about. If anybody wants to share any more tracks.
So let me give you these. These are all in South Africa somewhere along the line. Some of them are old, some of them are new. The guy who built Jan's track that I showed earlier on in Brisbane, this is his home track. Again, beautifully made. He builds very, very well. They're extremely well made, very smooth. That's a pretty track. This one is an old track. This track was built in the 1970s, or maybe the late 1960s even. It was my first club track that I raced on, the first club that I joined in 1975. And it had this wicked set of S's. But the other thing that was more wicked about it was up on this bridge section here, because they wanted you to be able to see through it. The barrier was made from wire mesh. And when you're running with foam tires, you rip the tires to shreds going through there if you caught it. But it was quite a nice track. It had these 3 relatively long straightaways, and then this bridge section, and then all these little turns, and then a bus stop and back in again. I actually held the qualifying record on that track for a short while. Sorry, there was another view of it. What the heck happened there? There we go. These photographs were taken probably in the late 1960s, early 1970s, because I joined in 75 and these were taken before that. This one was a track that was built in a building that was part of a stadium where people used to run roundies, hot rods and super modifieds and things like that, and midgets and so on in the stadium. And this was a building next to the stadium, or a building next to the stadium that was unused at the time. They built this track in it. It was really quite a nice track. Had these couple of really long straights and then the bits and pieces over the top, and then these silly little wiggles down here. These were all downhill as you came, because you came across the top and down these things. I raced on it only once. And then the owners of the stadium decided they were going to use this building, and they asked the club to move their track, and the club moved the track, put it in storage. And by the time they found new premises for it, the track had been used for firewood by the security guards at the storage position. So it was a pity, because it died. But that was that track, back and forward and up and down. This one is still in use down in Durban, one of the coastal cities of South Africa. It's a mini Blue King style with 2 odd things. Number one, it runs in the other direction. So you run along this very short straight into the big bank, and then down the straightaway, right to left. And then at the other end, the donut section is reversed from what they normally are, meaning that you go under first and then over. It's still being used now. It has magnetic braid, and so the guys run all kinds of 1/32 scale cars on that. This one, the orange one, damn it. This one was the track before that King track. This one was their previous track. It started out as a 6-lane track, but then they filled in the outside 2 lanes, and we always ran it just as a 4-lane. so that there was a bit more space on the outer edges. It ran bottom to top, and eventually, with the cars that we were running at the time, it was 4 braking points and 4 flat outs. You would brake for the top here, be flat out through there, flat out through the kink, brake for this one, flat out around here, brake as you went under the bridge, flat out down here, brake as you came into this keyhole at the end, and that was it. Basically 4 trigger strokes for a lap in the end. This was down in East London. Pretty nice track, long uphill straightaway, then this keyhole section at the top and a pretty steep downhill under the bridge, and then wiggles and back up again. But a very nice track to drive. Another one of Ari's tracks, the guy that does the building. Why they use this color, I've never been able to understand, but that was their choice. I don't know whether this track is still being used or not. That's the track under construction. This one, hang on, sorry. This one, probably my least favorite track of all time. It was out in the gold mining, one of the gold mining towns to the west of where I lived. It had these 3 long straightaways, or 2 long straightaways, from right to left on that one, and then it's hairpin, and then all the way down, and then back through a set of S's, and then up and over this bridge. Very steep up and very steep down, and straight into turns. And the worst about it is that all the turns were the same radius. Every corner was exactly the same radius, and so it actually was kind of boring to drive. There's lots of stories about that. This was a 6-lane track down to the south of where I lived, about 4 hours in the center of the country. A very nice track, long, 120, 130 feet, with this lovely little keyhole and S's section coming off of one of the long straightaways. A very nice track. That's where I drove my first endurance race, 9-hour endurance race. And some of the guys standing around here are friends of mine that I still talk to this day. These photographs were probably taken around 1975 or 6, somewhere around there. Those are nothing. This was the drawing of the club track where I raced, and it was actually the drawing that I did when we were designing the new track. This track took over from that one. It was a very nice circuit as well. This one was a tricky little track. That's the same one again as the one that I was complaining about, with all the same radii. This previous one, there's more somewhere. You want to see more? Oh, we're nearly done. No, we're done.
We're almost done with the 2 hours.
That's
so
enough.
We'll use that as a good stopping point. We are going to take 2 weeks off as far as recordings go, but that doesn't stop people from joining the chat. I have the chat basically set up so that if you joined before me, as when I came on, you guys were chatting already. So if you happen to join at the same time and you're chatting, then you can have a chat. Otherwise, we will begin recording again on January 5th. So that's 3 Wednesdays from tonight. So hopefully you can make it. That night, we're going to do a dedicated show and tell night, kind of like we did dedicated track night. So I imagine there's going to be some new cars under the Christmas tree for some people, and maybe some continuations of projects, and maybe starting new projects, and maybe people sharing that, they're gift giving. Dewann, I'm talking to you. And reactions in people's faces from receiving their cool Speed Racer gifts. But so yeah, on January 5th, we'll start recording again, and we'll have a show and tell only night. As always, come and join a live chat. It's a lot of fun. And until then, we'll wave goodbye.
Yeah. Happy holidays to everybody. If we don't see you. Yeah. Have a good one.